Hello everyone, how are you? Okay, so this is a bit of a change from the video I was going to do because yeah, there's been a bit more internet drama about all this fake guitar stuff. I was going to post. I normally post Mondays, but I'm posting Tuesday today. So I normally post on Mondays, and I was going to do like a follow up video because like Adam Neeley, he did a video about all this fake guitar stuff, and there was a few points in that I really just didn't agree with. But also we've had videos from Troy Grady and Leon Todd and one or two others. So yeah, there was one by Janeck Gwizdala as well, which is like a sort of hour-long podcast about this whole subject. So a big shout out to them if they're watching. I very much doubt it, but yeah. So I just really, this whole thing. Particularly like with the with Adam Neeley's video, there was so much in that I thought I just need to address it. I mean, like it's a long video he's done. You know, it's like 52 minutes. And it's split up into like little chapters, you know, like, and the first one being about you know, like sports stars, you know, like taking steroids or you know, some sort of enhancing drugs to, you know, to improve their performance. But also later in his video coming back to this thing about music not being a competition. Yet social media is a competition, because near enough anybody who uploads on a regular basis, we are competing for views. Depends on what you do it. I mean, if you're just doing it for the fun of it, then that's one thing. But if you're doing it to get the views, you know, so you get the ad revenue, the recognition, blah blah blah. You know, the all that entails. Then it is a competition. You're doing it to, you know. So in that sense, anything that can give you an advantage to getting those views, that's surely that you'd be very tempted to do that, including faking you're playing, you know. And I mean, I've also, you know, I did this other video about, you know, the YouTube guitar bubble, or that one didn't do all that good. But this, you know, this whole thing about, you know, like, you know, how it's almost like the standard that fakery in some way seems to be the way forward. I mean, there's somebody else. I mean, I started following. You know, like it's this girl who does like cosplay. I'm not going to name her because you probably even know who she is. And she actually did a, you know, like how I do my videos. And so, you know, like, she'd sort of plan out what she was going to talk about, film a rough draft of it, then go through it, and if there was any sort of bits of the video which didn't work, which didn't hit, then she'd redo them. So she's all enthusiastic and you know, and also you know, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and, you know, blah blah blah. And it still comes across as being sort of slightly fake. I mean, and also she'd then go back and yeah, case in point, it's all those ums and ahs which anybody who's sort of like thinking as they're speaking, anybody who thinks aloud, there's going to be natural ums and ahs because as pauses while you're just thinking of the right words. But if you're editing those out, then all you're doing is you're just getting this barrage of information, just so that you don't click off. I mean, if you have clicked off by now, then that's up to you. I'm hoping you're going to stay around. But so that's that. Yeah, and then of course, you know, the obligatory filming, the, you know, like getting the thumbnail right. I mean, yeah, because so she's talking about, you know, like holding something up or pointing to something and like pulling her face. So even on my channel, there's going to be loads of thumbnails of me just sat here with a guitar in various poses. Yeah, so that's you know, so I mean, maybe I could be a bit more original there, but anyway, I'm slightly wandering off the point. So, in short, social media is a competition. You can beat it for views, unless you're doing it for the love of the subject you're talking about. At the moment, and that's the main reason why I'm doing it, is because I'm a smaller channel. I'm not getting any money from doing this. I'm doing it because I like talking about music and other things, and I like engaging with people from all around the world. So then, anyway, so coming back to, like, in Adam's video, so like this second thing he's talking about is like he's talking about films like Singing in the Rain. Now, I mean, this was covered in like the Janeck Gwizdala's podcast as well, with his wife, and this whole thing about how Singing in the Rain features a character whose voice was dubbed. But that's also missing. That's glossing over a lot of stuff. You see, because that Singing in the Rain, it covers like a historical time when movies were going from from silent films into what was known as talkies, and it was a big deal. The fact that not only you're going to see a moving picture, you're going to see a talking picture as well. Ooh, wow. But there was a bit of controversy there because, like, as far as I'm aware, like one of the first talking pictures was The Jazz Singer with Al Johnson. So you're getting into things like blackface and stuff like that, which, like, anybody in the right mind from a 21st century perspective would call that out and say, hang on a minute, this isn't right. So I have a feeling that, when they were making Singing in the Rain, they surely would have been aware of that, but they couldn't call it out outright because of, actually I'm kind of digging a hole for myself here, but that lead character of Lena, who she had like a quite a good career in the silent films, and then suddenly she's got to sing. She's the bad, making her out to be the baddie. Kind of, it doesn't quite apologise for like Al Johnson doing blackface, but it does point a finger to the ego of some of these prior like film stars who made their fame on just making silent films. But comparing that though to like faking a performance, it's not quite the same thing. It's and ripping off somebody else's stuff, that's not the same either. And again, all right. So things like he's talking about like people like Whitney Houston singing Star Spangled Banner and what have you. But that's for a start, Whitney would have been miming to her own performance, not to somebody else. And of course, it's only part of like the Super Bowl or whatever it was. So the circumstances are different there. But then we start getting into like other like deeper waters where for some reason they started talking about Plato. And it's almost I don't say almost. No, he was actually using that what's known as begging the question fallacy, where you've already got your conclusion, what you think is your thesis, and so you're looking for evidence to sort of try and support that, rather than like looking at what the evidence is actually saying. So for some reason, he wheeled out this academic who's like studied Plato, and then suddenly goes, oh, you mean the noble lie fallacy, don't you? Not fallacy. You mean the noble lie, don't you? And she's like, oh yeah. Plato talks about Plato talks about the noble lie. But that's not that's not enough. That's not enough to justify this, because I mean the whole thing about that noble lie is that by the fact of being noble and being a lie means you start getting into areas like doublethink. It's a George Orwell phrase, but well, it's been used by other people. You know, this whole thing about say the right of free speech is very important to a society. Therefore, only a few people should have that right because they are most important in our society. You know, things like that, or you know, like justifying welfare benefit cuts to disabled people, or I'm trying not to get too political here, but I think you see what I mean. You know, or you know, everybody in the society is equal, but some are more equal than others. I mean, that's more of a George Orwell paraphrasing. But you see what I mean. So, but then there was also this thing about like genres, almost like you know, like the different genres that, you know, he was mentioning, like, you know, hip hop and rock and jazz. That almost are like kind of like fixed, and there's almost like a catechism within. You know, these strict rules which you know, which if you break them, then you get kicked out. So it always seems sort of like a cult, you know, like sort of like a religious cult. You know, I mean, I can't see music as being like that. You know, I like all sorts of music, and I like to cross genres, and I like to cross pollinate ideas. But I think he also kind of, where I think he shot himself in the foot was because it was a long video, and he starts talking about Shakespeare and saying, oh yeah, it's like an academic. Take a play like Macbeth, because an academic is supposed to know about this play and quote the specific passages of it. But the thing is that, like, Macbeth is well, for a start, he didn't actually say what Macbeth is a play about. I mean, like, if you know Blackadder, you'll get you get a lot of the gist from that, you know, the Scottish play and what have you. But certainly in England, anyway, and certainly from, you know, like where I am, you know, going to the theatre regularly to see Shakespeare, you know, it's ingrained in the culture, you know. So there may be a bit of like cultural difference here, but Macbeth is essentially a play about ambition and what it takes, you know, to not only to gain power but to maintain it, even if that involves murder, and even if that involves murder of one's best friend, which is basically what happens. So you know, so there's this big plot to, you know, like, so that Macbeth can be king, to murder this character of Duncan, and then you don't actually see what happened, but you actually see the aftermath as like the two main protagonists, you know, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and basically they lose the plot, and you do get those great lines of "By great Neptune's ocean, wash this blood from my hands," you know. So that's more, you know, like the guilt of and the weight of what they've done. And then Lady Macbeth for quite a long time in this scene is actually just, she's OCD. She's trying to wash the blood from her hands, basically, literally. You know, saying that line, "Out, damn spot, out." You know, and it's some of the like supporting characters who are just talking about her sudden insanity. What's up with her? Why is she doing that? You know. But I think in this case, it kind of almost proves that Adam didn't really know what he's talking about. You know, because Shakespeare was like a play for the people. Sorry, he was a playwright for the people. Beg your pardon. Let me get that right. He was a playwright for the people, and so he would write about like local myths and legends or stories which fascinated people. So unfortunately, yeah. I mean, you know, he was also saying, you know, you can quote from Macbeth and be inspired by it, but don't say you wrote it. But then again, because that play is so linked with power and ambition, and what somebody with power is prepared to do. There are a lot of plays, dramas, films, etc., which draw upon the actual horror aspect of what that story is about. Now, you could also argue, you know, well, Romeo and Juliet's a Shakespearean play, but But West Side Story, you know, that's a separate work. Yeah, it's kind of owes a lot to it. You know, like you know, nobody's going after Leonard Bernstein for you know writing an amazing score. You know, are they? Also, you know, like in science fiction, you know, like pretty much everybody knows about, you know, like Forbidden Planet being based on The Tempest, you know, stuff like that. But in this instance, I feel the most relevant play is something like Richard II, you know, which is it's all about, you know, like this King Richard II who ruled, you know, like based on like the popular vote and spin and so everything, you know, so you get the sense of everything being synthetic. But not only that, but it's a kind of like a trap for Richard II, you know, because he comes out with that monologue, you know, let us sit upon the sand and tell sad stories about the death of kings, because he knows he knows his downfall's coming, because he's been living in this synthetic kind of fantasy, you know, this unreal world. And everybody's been going along with it until, you know, like various things have gone wrong. So, you know, like in recent years, I'm not sure, in recent decades actually, a play like Richard II is actually starting to come more to the forefront and is now becoming up there, you know, with your Hamlets and your Macbeths and your Romeo and Juliet. You know, for that very reason, that it's kind of all about spin and the idea of like everything being sort of synthetic and simulacra, plastic even. And so in the actual play, you end up with Henry Bolingbroke, who then becomes Henry IV, who then sort of you know, there's this basically he declares war on Henry II and seizes the crown of England and whatnot. But so really, you know, just wanting to make those points, and you're sort of, you know, like I say, I mean, it's not the original video I had planned, but then, you know, because you know, people like Leon Todd and Troy Grady were coming forward, and they made some very good points there as well. And you know, perhaps even, you know, like Leon was saying, you know, how he seems to have been misquoted about like fake guitar and stuff, but I mean, just in closing, I mean, like, you know, if you are serious about YouTube, I reckon, you know, and the overlap with theatre, I reckon reading this, you know, the Empty Space by Peter Brook, which is basically what we've got, you know, like this is your platform, this is your stage. Where you go is from here, but we can actually take sort of some tips about, you know, what sort of performance do we want to give, you know, how authentic do we want to be, you know, do we want to give like sort of a live feeling, do you want to do very few cuts, or do we want to be doing sort of like every take has to be note perfect, rapid jump cuts, filming things which sound a bit slack, getting rid of all the ums and ahs and the pauses, and so on. You know, making sure all the lighting's perfect. Yeah, well, that's a technical issue, but I think you get what I mean. So yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. I don't want this to be too long. We don't need an hour to explain these points, but hopefully that's. I mean, I may do some more stuff about, you know, like, you know, trying to be more authentic and what have you in your playing and in your performances. But I personally have had enough of all this fake guitar stuff. I just want to concentrate on, you know, just being me, reaching some more people, getting some good feedback on stuff I'm doing, and also get, you know, getting some good criticism, you know, perhaps if I'm going wrong or what have you. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, leave it there. Alright, thanks for watching everyone. Sorry to take up your time. I'll see you next time.